Hi, my name is Nathan, and I'm here to talk to you today about the Korg MS20 Mini. So before we start, don't forget to hit subscribe down below, hit the bell for more notifications, and of course check out www.consordini.com and head over to my site if you like at www.nathanclearymusic.co.uk to get in touch with me about anything I do, and of course head over to consordini.com to check out any of their really cool synth reviews, gear reviews in general, and lots of beginner tutorials and other kind of music tutorials. So yeah, head over there to check out all kinds of fun music stuff. So today we'll be talking about the Korg MS20 Mini, which as the name suggests is a mini version of the Korg MS20. The MS20 was made in the 70s. It's a fully analog synthesizer, both obviously the original unit and the mini unit. You can also get I can't remember the name off the top of my head, so maybe you have to do a search, but there was, I think maybe discontinued actually, but there was a MIDI version, completely digital version, which hooks up with the Korg software of the Korg MS20. I think it was like an IC or something, Korg MS20i. But anyway, yeah, we're going to be talking about the analog unit today because it has some differences, and I've actually had both units. Yeah, so starting with the strong points of this synth, I think it's a really, really good melodic tool. I use it quite a lot for enhancing melodies if you've got an arrangement and it's sounding great. So say you've got some horns and some vocals and you really want to amp it up for the chorus. There's nothing better than a kind of really subtle synth, which maybe is buried in the mix, but because of its pure sound and the pure tones, it really cuts through on different devices and you can like bury it in there in the mix. With melodies, and I think it's really cool for that. It's also because of its older style of build, it's a lot easier to program and see exactly, just by looking at the panel, what is happening, which is something that is both basic but also really invaluable. If you're coming from a sound design perspective of modern synths like Serum or Massive, you're not going to be able to get as many possibilities out of this synthesizer due to its older design and the layout of the synth. But there are so many possibilities with this synth if you're going for a retro feel, or if you just want simplicity, which I love at times. It's great to have simplicity and have something you look at it and you know what it's doing. Obviously, if you've never used an analog synthesizer before, the big drawback can be there is no memory recall. You'll have to make notes yourself. There's a great website online I'll include down in the notes. So make sure to check the notes down below because I'll include lots of useful stuff that maybe I forget to mention in the video. Yeah, so in this video, I'm gonna have a look at the front panel. We're not gonna go into the patch bay because the patch bay will take too long for this kind of short video. But let me know in the comments if you'd like to go into the patch bay and know more about it, and maybe I can make a separate video for you. So we're gonna have a look at the front panel, and then I'm gonna hook it up to my Roland TB3 because they both take USB. So I'll have that coming out of Cubase and running that as a sequencer into the Korg MS20 to show you the possibilities that you can get out of just one sequence. But of course you can use any sequence you like. You can use a sequence out of your DAW, or you can even use a sequencer like this. Maybe I'll do an upcoming video with the Korg SQ1. I'm not using it for this video because I really love the sequencer on the Roland TB3 because of its ability to change pitch and also its slide function, which is obviously very classic of the original Roland TB303. So maybe we'll come to this in another video, but yeah, let me know in the comments down below if that's something you would like to see. So without further ado, let's have a look at the front panel and then we'll move on to the patch, the sequence where we're going to look at some of the tweaking without me talking, which is always good. Okay, so here's the front panel. Let's have a look through a brief overview of the front panel. I'm not going to go into too much depth, especially with the patch bay, because we could go on forever, and that can just be a separate video if you want that in the future. It's just a completely different subject and too deep to go into in a quick video like this. So the synthesizer generally moves from left to right. So we start with over here, the oscillators, oscillator 1. So we've got triangle wave, saw wave, square wave with underneath this, underneath the square wave on oscillator 1, there's a pulse width modulation tool. So you can change from all the way to the left would be a square wave. All the way to the right would be a flat line, so there'd be no sound. So don't worry if you open up the box and you're getting no sound out of one of the oscillators. But as we move from right to left or left to right, it will move through the different shapes of a square wave. So like this. So you can get some quite, if you've got something sequenced, pulse width modulation can be a really cool little modulation feature for you. So almost same as the first setup we've got over in this block. This is the oscillator 2. So you've got a saw wave, you've got a square wave, but on this one, you don't have the option for pulse width modulation. So that's something to be careful of. Instead, you have a pitch. You have here just a little pitch knob, so you can detune them. I'm not going to do it now in this demonstration because it can be a nightmare to get back in tune, and I want to show you a little sequence after this. But yeah, there's a square, and then we've got the pulse width here, or a short kind of square. And then we've got the ring modulator, which is great. So it's feeding one oscillator into another, and it can make some really, really gnarly kind of robotic sounds. And underneath both these oscillators, we've got octave switches. So this one on the right, oscillator 2, can go higher. I believe an octave. Yeah, an octave higher than the one on the left. So generally you'd use the one on the left more for bass and the lower end of your patch. So straight on from that is the VCO mixer, this little block here. We've got level for oscillator 1, oscillator 2, easy stuff, just mixing. And then moving over, we've got, this is where the magic happens. And this is the high pass filter on the left and the low pass filter on the right. And they both have underneath a peak resonance knob, which is where the magic happens. And why this synth is so good for just dropping into a mix, because just with these simple parameters, you're filtering out and shaping a lot of the sound on the fly, which is great. It's really where this synth stands out, I think. So you can shape a sound. Let's just have a little play around quick. So this would be taking out the low end. And then adding in some more of the high end on this one. And we can drive the peak, which is really nice on this. Listen to that. And then overdrive it. Self-oscillating. Ooh. So yeah, very cool options with the filters here. So then underneath we've got frequency modulation with the amount of modulation you want, and you can also patch this over here in the patch bay later. But we're not going to cover this in this video, but just something to bear in mind. So a quick demo. So this is doing the frequency modulation, so the pitch of the... Get crazy. And it's really good for sound effects if we're just doing... How cool is that? And then it's also controlled over... I'm just skipping a little bit, sorry. But over here we have the modulation generator, which is also very important, with the shapes of the different modulation and the rate down here at the bottom. So you can manually... Great for like old sci-fi sound effects. Change the shape. Yeah, so that kind of thing, you get the idea there. So now we have cutoff frequency modulation for the high pass filter, and then cutoff frequency modulation for the low pass filter. So it's easy to see because the blocks are directly underneath the filter. So just think of this as the modulation for this filter, modulation for this filter, and then this is for the pitch modulation over here, separated from the filters. So try to think of the synth in blocks. And portmanteau down here, pretty simple. Master tune, pretty easy. Envelope generator 1, we've got simple stuff, delay time, attack, and release. And then this is the main envelope generator you'll be using on this synth, which is a little bit confusing. I don't really use this one too much, but yeah, let me know if you have any tips or anything for using Envelope Generator 1. But it's quite odd because Envelope Generator 2 is the one that is kind of your basic sound. For example, release time all the way down, sustain up the top, and then decay, attack all the way at the bottom. So this is just standard on-off, isn't it? So press a note and it will come on, let go. As soon as I let go, the note's gone. Release all the way up. I let go and it carries on. Attack, soft beginning. So how I really love to use this synth is a combination of these simple parameters I've just shown you, and then a bit of portamento and a bit of modulation. Change to a different. Oh, we are going crazy on the. You get the idea. It kind of, also with it not being synced, like a lot of digital synths, it gives you that kind of free melody feel, I think, compared to other synths. It can really sing. And being monophonic means whatever note you hit, you're not going to overlap. You know, that kind of vibe. Yeah. So that's the front panel, and then we have the patch bay over here. Like I said, we're not going to get into this too much today because it's quite complicated, and yeah, it's not the most straightforward patch bay ever, and the diagrams are also very hard to understand, so maybe we'll do the patch bay in a separate video at a later point. So let's head over to the sequence so I can free my hands a little bit, and yeah, we'll have a tweak, we'll play around with some of the parameters, and I'll try and get crazy, musical, and yeah, let's see what happens. Here we go. Okay, so thank you very much for watching and listening today. I've been Nathan Cleary. You can check out Consordini at www.consordini.com, as I mentioned before, for all of their music-related goodness. And leave any comments or let me know what you think of the video and what you'd like me to do next. And have a great day, and I hope this video really helped you out. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.